one of the strongest cards when it first came out, but it felt like stronger and stronger cards kept coming out. Trinity Nova maybe not as powerful as it once was, but the consistency of Starbirth and just having that huge HP Pokemon, dishing out damage, a low maintenance Pokemon, you can just spam Judge every turn. It still works.
What's not to love? Judge, Path, every turn. Nest Ball.
Fun for one person.
Nest Ball going to start things off for Landen here, looking to eye down that Arceus V. You're going to need one of those in play if you want a V-Star on turn 2, so that's going to be step 1.
Yep. I do want to talk about the matchup a little bit. Of course, Azul is playing a Lost Box deck. Starts with Sableye, which is not the best, but Landen also starts with Giratina, not the best, especially in this matchup. Giratina, not particularly useful, but sometimes these Lost Box decks do struggle a lot with repeated hand disruption. They do struggle with dealing with Arceus V-Star, has a lot of HP, and if they just keep playing Judge every single turn, the Lost Box deck really loves to build up their hand with Colress's Experiment, Flower Selecting, and things like that. So,
okay. This Colress's Experiment was looking terrible for Azul, but finds that Battle VIP Pass as the 5th card. That's going to allow him to open up this hand a little bit because there was not much going on. I guess you have that Raikou V. You can attach the 4 Seal Stone to it. And 2 Psychic Energies going to Lost Zone. Turn 1. It's a little rough. Maybe you're not going to be attacking with Sableye for this game.
Yeah, that's a tough decision to make, but Azul maybe deciding that, you know what, I don't need Sableye here. It's fine. I still have 1 Psychic Energy left somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the hand.
Yep.
Battle VIP Pass will be able to search for 2 basic Pokemon for Azul, put them on the bench. Maybe eyeing down something like that Radiant Greninja and the Comfey. Both of those cards just really help propel your turn 1 setup.
Yeah, now I'm curious what Azul's game plan is in this sort of a matchup. I think he's going to be trying to get a turn 1 attack off with Cramorant and try to soften up this Giratina V. It's tricky to try to put together a lot of knockouts against all these high HP Pokemon V-Star. I have to think at some point the plan is going to be to use that Kyogre to try to Aqua Storm and try to get 4 prize cards at the end of the game. But it's tough to set that up, and especially putting 2 energy in the Lost Zone right away. You don't run a whole lot of energy in this deck. There's about 11, so putting 2 in the Lost Zone, I don't know. It's going to require like perfect resource management from Azul for the rest of the game to pull this off, I think.
Well, if anyone can do it, it is the championship point leader.
Yes.
Azul Garcia-Griego. Concealed cards, discards the Lightning Energy, finds a couple new cards. Nest Ball is one of them. That will be able to grab another Comfey. And with the way the hand is shaping up to be, I do believe we're just 1 switching out away from attacking with Cramorant this turn.
Okay. Yeah. Now, it's interesting. Usually there's lots of escape rope in these Lost Box decks. In this situation, I don't know if it's better to hit into Arceus or hit into Giratina. If you hit into Giratina, then you force your opponent to have a switching card to attack with Arceus V-Star next turn.
Ooh. This is a rough choice. Water Energy or Energy Recycler. Already getting rid of 2.
You got to get rid of the Recycler. You can't get rid of actual energy cards at this point.
And we see Azul agree with you there. And has the escape rope in hand. Also a switch card.
Just marking which abilities have been used here. Always good to keep track of. Yeah, there is an escape rope, which again may be awkward. Makes it easier for your opponent to use Trinity Nova with Arceus V-Star on the next turn.
Second Flower Selecting finds Colress, gets rid of the Nest Ball. That's going to be great for next turn. And with that, you have the Cramorant, but it's going to be forced to Raikou and 4 Seal Stone to get the switching effect.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, already retreated for the turn. It's going to need to grab something like a switch card here to get that Cramorant in the active spot.
Yeah, you can see just how highly Azul is valuing doing some sort of attack here. I think typically you probably wouldn't want to put down Raikou V. It is very easy for Arceus V-Star to knock that out. And Azul just saying, you know what, I gotta get an attack off this turn. I need to put down a Pokemon V to use the Forest Seal Stone to search for any card. And we're gonna see that spit innocently. And now we're gonna see what Landen's game plan is.
It's gonna probably involve an Arceus V-Star, I would hope. Trekking Shoe is gonna start off the turn, finds an Ultra Ball.
That's pretty good.
That equals to the Arceus V-Star, but discards it, nets the energy off the top. Oh, already had the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Now with this Ultra Ball, able to discard 2 cards, search your deck for any Pokemon. It's going to grab that Arceus V-Star. From there, you have the Star Birth, that powerful ability from Arceus V-Star. Search for any 2 cards. Going to find double Turbo Energy, I would expect.
Yeah, I would guess double Turbo Judge. This is the beauty of this deck. It is extremely low maintenance. You know, it's so consistent. All you need to do turn 1, put down an Arceus, put an energy on it. Turn 2, you evolve to Arceus V-Star. You can Star Birth for any 2 cards. It makes it very easy to pull off an attack. And, I mean, from there, once you Trinity Nova, you get to power up another attacker. I mean, this is great.
Double Turbo, and it looks like Professor's Research found here. Maybe the 4 cards off Judge is a little bit too little for the following turns.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just so used to people slamming Judge at every opportunity.
Oh, yeah. With this, Landen will be able to attack this turn, but that is not the end of it. We're going to have Path to the Peak, Professor's Research, discard the hand. Fresh new 7 cards here for Landen.
Yep, it's a fantastic start. Path to the Peak will also shut down the Radiant Greninja concealed card, so that is another added layer of disruption on Azul's side.
Don't forget about Fleet Footing. Or Fleet Footing.
That's true as well. But yeah, this is your game plan as Landen. You want to fire off big attacks, disrupt your opponent as much as you can, and just say, hey, every turn I'm going to attack you for a knockout. Can you beat that?
Honestly, it might even be beneficial to just not evolve into the Giratina V-Star. The basic Giratina V has 140 for 3. That's enough to knock out most of the regular Pokemon in Azul's deck.
Yep, whole reliable shred. Giratina V-Star is not particularly useful against Lost Box decks. Now, it does give you the option to get a clean knockout on the Raikou V at some point, potentially. But yeah, I wonder if Azul is going to try to use that Raikou V to clean up this Arceus V-Star here.
Well, starting things off wonderfully, Beach Court bumps the Path to the Peak. That allows concealed cards to draw 2 cards, finds another Colress's Experiment. Colress's Experiment, 5 cards off the top. You are now building that Lost Zone.
Finds the Mirage Gate as well, so will unlock an attack with Raikou V this turn if he wants to go down that route.
And one good thing, there's no energy in this Colress's Experiment. You don't need to worry about that. The Clara going into the Lost Zone may be a little worrisome later on, but you play 2 of those. It's fine.
Yeah, so things going pretty well for Azul so far. Got the turn 1 attack with the Cramorant. Can follow this up with the turn 2 attack from the Raikou V. And then we'll go from there.
Flower selecting, deciding between Pokestop and a Sableye.
Wow. Decides to keep the Sableye.
It's interesting with only 1 Psychic Energy available and 1 Recycler available.
Exactly, yeah. We'll see how Azul wants to approach this game. Of course, he is extremely experienced with this deck. Used it to win an international championship. He's been playing it for most of the season. And it looks like we may see an escape rope here.
And it's going to be a little interesting. It's going to force Landen to bring up that Bidoof. Kind of stymie the draw a little bit for later on in the game. And we're going to see another Flower selecting, just build that Lost Zone again and again. And oh no!
Boy. Okay, now you have, I think, exactly 8 energy cards to play with, which means if you're going to Aqua Storm later for the full 5, you need to have exactly 3 on Kyogre and then exactly 5 in your deck. So it's going to make it more difficult to pull off perhaps a game-winning Kyogre attack later in the game, but we'll see if Azul even needs to go down that route.
There was a point where Azul could have Mirage Gate before Flower Selecting. Get those energies out of the deck, less of a chance to see them and get them in the Lost Zone. But here we just see the Mirage Gate after, charging up that Radiant Greninja.
Yeah, looks like he's going to favor going for the Moonlight Shuriken here. I'm curious to see if he'll even bother knocking out the Bidoof, or maybe just tries to hit both Pokemon V on the bench and maybe tries to set up some longer-term Lost Mine plays with Sableye.
Lost Vacuum, getting rid of that Battle VIP Pass and the Beach Court. Kind of strand that Bidoof in the active a little bit. And I think because of that, we're going to see, both bench getting damaged with that Moonlight Shuriken.
Yep, so definitely a long-term game plan for Azul here, spreading lots of damage. Maybe just hoping Landen doesn't play anything like the Charon's Care or Volo or anything like that that could effectively heal a bunch of damage off of that board.
Does not look like it, so it's going to be pretty heads-up play from Azul here. Landen does have the energy to retreat the active. Path to the Peak, Judge. That's how you want to ride it up with this deck.
All right, well, this is the game plan in action. Disrupt your opponent's hand, attack with Arceus V-Star, and see what they can do. Azul's deck is getting a lot thinner from turn to turn. And with that Beach Court now gone, there's no easy pivot in and out of Comfey using Flower Selecting. So this is going to be a constant barrage of hand disruption from Landen as the game progresses. And we'll see if Azul is able to continue to piece together relevant attacks as the game goes on.
Retreating the Bidoof into the Arceus V-Star. That's going to allow Trinity Nova to take the knockout and charge up that Arceus V on the bench with the last basic energy in the deck. Double Turbo in hand, though, so it is all right. And Azul's going to need to utilize this 4-card hand to the best of his ability to try to actually take some prizes. Has set up a ton of damage, but hasn't really jumped the hurdle.
Yep. You can see Azul does just send up Sableye straight away. Does not want to risk not finding a switching out for that Comfey, but did find the Clara off the Judge, so is able to find one of those Psychic Energy to use Lost Mine this turn.
Can even grab back the Cramorant. Maybe an easy attack here. Or just opting for that Radiant Greninja. If you have the Stadium bump, then you can draw a couple more cards, which I do believe there's a Lost Vacuum in hand.
Oh, okay. So yeah, obviously with Clara, you can take up to 2 Pokemon from your discard pile and put them into your hand, so it might look a little odd that Azul decided not to get the full value from the card, right? But perhaps thinking that Cramorant won't be useful anymore in this game, so why would I clog my deck with a card I don't want to draw later? If Landen plays a Judge, not having the Cramorant in the deck can be a big deal. It's not a card you want to redraw. You want to keep finding useful cards as the game progresses.
Yeah, like Energy Recycler and Mirage Gate for a Kyogre play, that would be awesome.
I hope so. Now, interesting choice. Lost Mine taking down the Bidoof, that does not help you get closer to a victory. It's a 1-prize knockout. You still have to knock out 3 V-Star to get through the rest of this game. But maybe Azul valuing, cutting off the draw engine, the B-Barrel, as the game goes on. Does play Echoing Horn as well, so there's potential to bring that back and then get another easy knockout. There's just so many options at any given time for these Lost Zone decks. It's always hard to know kind of what the optimal line is, what's going to happen next. Obviously, you would trust Azul as the #1 ranked player in this region to figure out the optimal line of play in this scenario, but I mean, these are tricky games. Even the best players will admit these are tough ones to figure out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Boss's Orders brings up the Comfey, Path to the Peak, and then Knockout.
Wow.
It's interesting because Granted, we know the list. There's only 3 Psychics in Azul's list, 2 of them in the Lost Zone, 1 on that Sableye, 2 Clara, 1 in the Lost Zone, 1 in the discard. Running a little low on energies, but opted to leave that Psychic in play.
Yeah, and now both Clara down. There are energy recyclers to get back the Psychic energy, but yeah, this may be a gift for Azul. Now he doesn't have to stress about, oh, and there's another recycler going to the Lost Zone. Now he doesn't have to stress about lining up his next attacker. It's right there.
Good little grip in Azul's hand, but the cards aren't really doing too much. Does have that last energy recycler, which is crazy to say.
Yeah. If we see this, I think it's pretty much a given at this point that Kyogre's off the table.
There's always game 2, Kyle. There's always game 2.
5 energy cards going back in. And this is kind of a nerve-wracking situation for Azul as well. Can power up Radiant Greninja once again, but basically Azul only has maybe 2 turns left in this game. Landen could take another single prize knockout, and then there is the Raikou V that could be knocked out. You know, boss's orders bring it up and get those last 2 prize cards. So if you're Azul, you have to figure out how many turns do you think you have left in this game?
Well, there is that energy on the Radiant Greninja switch card, getting the Forest Seal Stone out of the hand. And we'll be able to Moonlight Shuriken, spread some more damage.
Kyogre goes down. Right. And looks like it's going to take the knockout on Arceus V-Star. It's not quite knocking out the Giratina V-Star, but we are getting closer to some big knockouts here.
I don't know why I thought that was being looked at. We just had
I thought there was 200 on there. Maybe I was wrong.
There's 130 on the benched Giratina. I think they're just clarifying the actual damage on the board.
sure. So that would be at 15 then?
Just trying to sort out the damage. This is always a tricky part. It's also the dice you have to worry about sometimes. Math is hard, Jeremy.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No further commentary. Math is hard. Okay, so we're trying to kind of reset the situation here.
Yeah, there was 200 on the active, so that should be knocked out. And then I believe there was, what, 130 on the Giratina, or was there 150?
Looks like 150, yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. It was 90 from a Moonlight Shuriken, then 6 from Sableye, because the other 6 went on Bidoof.
I think you said 4 earlier. That's why I said I said 6. Did you? Okay, sorry.
So
All right, I think they were clarifying the math from the earlier Lost Mine. I think it is all good now, and I don't think that changes Azul's Moonlight Shuriken here.
Yep, I think just trying to figure out, technically you were wasting 10 damage if you knock out the active. It's only got 80 HP left. And if you're going to attack with Sableye to follow this up, do you want to optimize your damage, You could just knock out the active and get some prize cards. Maybe that is more important to fish out some resources. But if you're talking about like pure damage output as the game progresses, you are kind of losing out on 10 damage if you knock out this active. Because you could clean it up with Sableye, which is able to spread damage precisely everywhere.
I think everyone's just clarifying again. Remember, this is the penultimate round before we get into our top 8. Everything is on the line for these players. That playing the entire weekend to try to get up to this point. Got to make sure everything's good.
Yeah. I am a bit worried about Azul's resources at this point in the game. Yeah. I think every recycler is gone. Every Clara is gone. There's lots of Mirage Gates gone at this point. Attackers are gone. There's a Sableye in the... Well, there's 2 Sableye out, but there's no way to attack with the second one anymore. So what are your attacks going to be to close out this game? You do technically have enough energy left to attack with Raikou V as potentially your closer.
So I think they're rewinding to the point, and it does look like it's going to be a warning for both players, just trying to keep track of the game state.
Okay. Well, clearly there's something I missed.
Yeah, it was the extra 2 damage counters on the Giratina. So I think because of that,
okay.
we're going to bring up the Sableye, and Lost Mind is going to actually spread some damage here. Like you said, maybe take the knockout,
Yeah, that's
save
8.
that extra damage counter.
8 there, 4 to Giratina. Yeah, that's 190. So
And
yeah,
hey,
that
190
means,
is
that means
perfect math.
a Moonlight Shuriken will take it out. Yeah. Okay. Glad we got that sorted out.
Yeah. All right, Landon's going to start the turn. Arceus V-Star in the active, has the Professor's Research, going to draw a new hand of 7.
Yeah, you could see what Azul's plan is to close this game out, I think, here. The Sableye is going to go down. Next turn, you can Moonlight Shuriken with Radiant Greninja, knock out the Giratina, and then put 90 on the Arceus V-Star. And then hopefully you can attack with Raikou V to close out the game. We'll see what happens.
Double Turbo Energy on the Giratina. It's going to be an easy resource to get rid of for that Giratina's V-Star attack. Taking the knockout on Sableye, but Giratina V-Star is going to get knocked out with his Moonlight Shuriken. That means Arceus V-Star is going to have to do all the work.
Okay, so 2 off prizes yet. Drop.
Okay, both players now hyper aware of everything that's going on.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I was about to say, I think Azul just had game, but because the Bidoof has careful consideration, you can't do damage to it on the bench. So Echoing Horn is not an out here.
Yeah, he's looking to see if is there a Squovid in here I can pick on?
I was curious what you were doing there.
I still think Echoing Horn is the card you take here. I'm not smart enough at this point to do the math on how many benched Pokemon there would need to be for Raikou to follow up for a knockout, but Echoing Horn does give you plus 20 damage in that situation.
And it looks like Echoing Horn was the choice. Nest Ball to the Lost Zone. Azul's hand's not very good.
Yep. And these are the real tough games with these Lost Box decks. You are running low on every resource. Any slight mistake can cost you the game. You need to remember exactly how much of everything you have used. And Azul's going to do his best. Another Moonlight Shuriken gets 2 prize cards. 1 switch card is left in there.
Boss's Orders Choice Belt, able to take the knockout on the Raikou.
That'll
and
do it.
Landen coming back from behind, able to take game 1 here against Azul.
Yeah, Choice Belt, a card that has gone in and out of Arceus decks. And, this weekend I've seen a lot more Choice Belt than before. And paying off there, that was a game winner.
Yeah. The 1 choice belt in the list, able to save it until the very end when you need it the most. And Landon is just 1 game away from going to 35 match points.
Whew. That was an intense game, Jeremy.
That was very intense. I'm glad they were able to resolve the damage counters. I think it was just miscommunication. Azul went 60-60. I think Landon 60-40, and then just missed the 2 damage counters.
Sometimes it's just hard to add up the dice.
Very, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm glad it got resolved. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, this is an interesting matchup. Still, we have not seen an Aqua Storm. We'll see if that changes here. But yeah, you can see an interesting approach to the matchup from Azul, favoring attacking with Radiant Greninja multiple times. And it looks like we're getting set up for game number 2, and
Going to get a little bit of a time extension, I believe, as well.
okay.
Just marking that down.
No, looks like a match slip is being signed.
Oh, okay. It looks like they just intentional drew.
Hopefully we'll find out soon.
Yeah, it's a tie. All right.
Oh. Okay, so the rare in-game agree to a tie.
This has been a weird 5 minutes, Kyle, I must say.
I gotta say, Jeremy, of all the plays that could have happened, that was one I didn't see coming.
Players just looked at both of their hands like, all right, do you just want ID?
Yeah. Huh.
All right.
Okay. Well, I think that makes some amount of sense for Landen. Just saying, you know what? I'm at 33 match points. It's pretty beneficial for me to ID. Now that I'm up a game, I mean, going into this, I'm sure Azul would not have agreed to an ID because he wants to win and get the points. But you're down a game, and your opponent's like, hey, would you like to just take the ID? Because I certainly just need the 1 point.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot that Landen was at 33 match points going into this match.
Yeah. So I did not expect that to happen.